Finthone reporting in. Another episode of Analysis. Welcome. So, at the time of this recording, last week, Sonalia and I checked out a movie we were both curious about. Goosebumps. Was that really the name? Like, there wasn't more to the name, wasn't there? Jack Black's first name is Thomas? Who knew? Ha! Yeah, that's the title, just Goosebumps. Anyways. Growing up in the 90s, and if you had the channel Fox Kids, or if you watched that program, like I did, you would know that they had a TV show of Goosebumps, and whether you found out that there was a book series before or after, yeah, I'll admit, I'm one of those kids who was deathly afraid. Deadly afraid of Goosebumps. For reasons. I don't remember having any nightmares from it. All I remember is just only that as soon as I was done watching whatever TV show that came on before the show, and as soon as the show started, and hearing that little tune, it was instantly turn off the TV right away. But I will say that there had been a few times where I actually did watch an episode. Possibly the only reason why I recognized the Wolfman in the movie, and the, this one character that's pretty much in the deepest, darkest part of my fears. I mean, like, he may not be the top, but he is in my fears! It's just deep back there. And I don't really want to say who he was. It's just this. You'll recognize his... Even know his book cover, the green mask character. Okay, now I am aware that there are people out there who did like the stories, who did like reading them and watching the show. And of course, if I recall the show, yeah, the kind of 90s phase where it's slightly cheesy but still watchable, if that makes any sense. I honestly don't remember, and I'm not watching anything. I'm not even going to be looking at anything with Goosebumps to do it. I'm just... If it comes up with some feed over here, I don't care. It's just my consequence for actually for reviewing this. However, that's not the reason why I swore at the beginning of this. Because you see, and of course, no one made me go and watch that movie in theaters, and no one made me do this review. Now, should you go and see this movie? That is up to your own interpretation, and also depends on if you can take up scary stuff, if you can handle current scary stuff, but really that's not saying much because it doesn't really dive into the current horror. I mean, seriously, like if you want to go into, like if you want to handle current scary stuff, then go and watch the Crimson Peak or whatever that movie was. Although my problem is sort of some of the stupidity. I will handle that. But you see, back on what I was talking about before. Growing up in the 90s, Goosebumps was a thing. I'm pretty sure there's still some people who remember that today, even without this movie coming out, if it didn't come out this year. Now, my reasons for wanting to watch this movie... Wait a minute, I just realized I'm wearing the wrong shirt. Wrong attire! Feel better. I may not be a fan of spooks, but I can appreciate them. Now, my reasons for watching this movie was pretty much just seeing how can something very nostalgic from the 90s hold up today. It was always episodic. It was never it wasn't like, you know, like a very big connecting story that all tied in together. I'm pretty sure that some of the stories did have a quote-unquote sequel, but still they were all episodic, self-contained with every half-hour show. Then finding out that Jack Black was going to be in the film, playing R.L. Stine himself, and that somehow something about all of his original story drafts would somehow, if opened, would release the monster of the day in each story. Like, if you open up the book with the Abominable Snowman will come out Now that's an interesting idea. I have a belief that when you make a movie of a franchise, of a TV show, the movie should do something that the TV show can't do on its own, whether it ties in or not. With a longer running time and a bigger budget, you should do something with that. Sometimes you can do something like, a similar plot, but on a bigger scale, yeah, you can do that, but it's still... And that's one thing I was curious about when I first heard about this, and then seeing trailers. Well, okay, then it was a thing. However, knowing that Jack Black was tied to this, and then knowing some of his previous work that isn't on the serious side, I had questions about having Jack Black in this, because I know that it's very easy to screw up a movie that is supposed to represent a franchise that has already been pre-established and already respected. And another thing that can ruin a movie sometimes is casting an inappropriate character. And, well, I'm used to Jack Black being a little goofy, like in School of Rock, or, well, I just remember him being goofy. Yes, I'm sure he can be serious. I mean, like in some of the movies where they were comedies, he did play a serious part. I mean, hell, one of my favorite moments that I can say is from Jack Black was in this one part at a hospital. Instead of what was the movie called? Shallow Hal. I like that movie. I like this performance, and when he had to be serious, I'm not saying that when he was serious it was Oscar worthy, but I will say when he did have to play a serious, or when he had to be not goofy and have a realization at what was happening, or what happened that he didn't realize before, I like that. I still associate him a goofy type of character, and I didn't know if he would be appropriate for this. A trailer can only tell you so much. When I went to go and see the movie, well, okay, first off, he was a protective father, because you see, the story really revolves around this boy. I didn't look up any actor names, but let's just go with the boy who we will call Jake. Jake moves into a new town, and it's a small town, pretty much very, what's a good word? Easygoing. Not much happens in the town. When he moves in with his mother, well, the girl next door has an interest in him, saying, "Hello, how was your drive from New York?" Jack Black is the protective father who doesn't want this boy to come over this fence and talk to me or his daughter. By the way, the girl who plays Jack Black's daughter, or R.L. Stein's daughter, I'm pretty sure she's the same girl who was inside of Timothy Green. I don't know if that means anything, but... okay. Nice nine, she's doing some work. Jake, he does make a new friend on his first day. However, this friend, I want to call him Duke right now. Alright, you could classify him as a nerd or a geek, but here's the thing. He plays too much of the wimp card. Whether it's the actor or whether it was because of writing, but I have a feeling that it was mostly the writing. I did not have a good first act, okay? Like, this movie, like, oh my god! People are idiots, people are too much, and, like, I mean, seriously, the only normal character, in my opinion, is just Jake. Why? That's the reason why I cursed in the beginning of this. Why? What are we supposed to get from this? I mean, come on. I mean, for one thing, okay, stay away from my daughter, or if you cross that fence, you will have consequences. Wow, that doesn't spell out suspicious. And Duke, like, alright, yes, alright, sure. We can go by stereotypes like, one character looks a little too feminine, this guy looks too manly. Duke looks, kind of like a geek, and okay, yeah, sure. But they played him up too much. I mean, because, like, alright, instead of my little impression video on Pixels, I did say that it was good. However, I didn't realize a lot of the stuff until after the Nostalgia Critic did a review on it, and, like, like the one guy that the Nostalgia Critic said that was supposed to be the Olaf guy, or in other words, the guy who was the voice for Olaf, and he was inside of Pixels, and his character was more or less just only a character to make Adam Sandler's character look better in comparison to Olaf's character, because he had more patheticness or something. That's what they did here with Duke. I can't honestly say that Duke is likable. I mean, like, yeah, sure, he's like a kind of underdog, and that you will kind of want him to have good things in his life. Everybody wants to have good things in their life. But Duke, I did not like you in the movie. No, I don't know. No, I don't think I did. No. I don't think I liked them. I don't think, because, like, I mean, for one thing, like, at one point when everybody's supposed to be quiet, you see the reason why you're being quiet, and then you ruin it. Why? Or how about something like this? Hello? Is someone in there? Okay. Hello, how are you? Fuck! Where did you come from? If you're there, you answer. The beginning, like, the entire time, my face was just like, just for the entire first act. However, the movie does pick itself up. Yeah, I know, like, the beginning, yeah, it was not pleasant. I wouldn't be surprised if someone put stupid pills in the water for that town. But it does pick up around the second act, when the paranormal part comes around, and getting our plot kicked. Okay, because I'm thinking of it. Duke, stay where you are! You had one job and yet you failed to do it! He should have stayed outside. Okay, sorry about that. I had to get that out because it was in my head. Second act picks up. Like we know from the trailers, a monster comes out of a book. And I gotta say, the first thing that actually got me to at least have some appreciation and then like for this movie was the special effects that they did for the first monster to come out of the book. That was amazing. All the words, just all kind of like, once they're all printed, but then all the words just like starting to ink up, and then just like lift out a little bit, just a little by little, but then bursting out and flowing, and then just, here's Johnny! I will say that reason for continued conflict after that is rather dumb and illogical. I mean, if you're one who, keeps in mind of logic happening, or when logic should be happening, the reason for its continued plot is rather illogical and shouldn't have been a thing, and yet it just happens. You'll see what I mean. We all know that CGI is pretty much a major factor in movies nowadays. And unfortunately, in some cases, sometimes, even though they do have animatronics or puppets playing a part for a small portion for, the actors to know what to interact with during editing, and then before it gets its final print for the movie product, they sometimes CGI over it, like in Percy Jackson. However, I want to give out prop for a very iconic Goosebumps monster character. If you've seen the poster, you'll know who I'm talking about. Slappy. And do not call him a dummy, because he is no dummy. He's not here, I'm safe. Now, Slappy was not CGI'd. I actually appreciate that, because maybe it could have been too easy to CGI him, and that way they probably wouldn't have to hire a guy to animate his mouth. It's better that they didn't CGI him. I can't say I remember what he was like in the TV show. I can't say I saw the episode. Like, the only thing I remember is just only in one episode he gets maybe split open or cut open, and then some kind of green gas comes out. That was the end of one of his episodes. I'm pretty sure there were 1 or 2 episodes with him, but that's the only thing I remember. But in this movie, they make it seem like that he isn't lifeless, but he doesn't move on his own. By that I mean, like, he doesn't walk around. Like, if he's gonna walk around, you have to look away. Or he has to, like, not be visible. That does kind of bring into another of the impossible logic thing, but with what he does for a couple parts, and, I mean, really, like, he carries that much for his small self. That doesn't just happen. Either way, I like what they did. There's only one part where they show him walking, but that was just for dramatic. But I see that as just like a dramatic thing for what was happening during the climate part of the movie. But all other times, the only time when he really moves is just when he has his head and his mouth and eyes when he's on screen. Actually, another thing I want to put down is that, well, R.L. Stine created all these characters because, for his book series. And a couple of characters are actually, well, voice-overed, and they had Jack Black do the voices for these characters, and that actually does make sense, because under certain circumstances, if you make a character, and this I mean like, R.L. Stine making Slappy, if they don't directly have their own voice, or at least if they have like supposed to represent a part of you, then that actually makes sense of having that character actually having the same voice as you. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure if I were to make up a character that was supposed to represent what I want to be or look like or something, and believe me, I'm pretty sure I would want to voice the character myself, because that guy is supposed to be me. Like, if Zinthone was going to be appearing in the next Kingdom Hearts, why can't I voice him? Zinthone is supposed to be me. For I am Zinthone. Though I will say the performance for Slappy, well, for a long time, I actually thought Slappy was being voiced by Mark Hamill. Luke Skywalker, the Batman the Animated Series Joker. It's possible that Jack Black probably may have taken that kind of direct with the voice. Really, I did like it. And it was fitting. It was fitting. It takes a little bit of an ear to hear the Jack Black part. Maybe not right away, but eventually you do hear a little bit of Jack Black and Slappy, and thus, good performance. Good performance. Now, I'm guessing what you're wondering is, should you go and see this movie? Well, I'm not going to say that this movie is go and see it or die, or before you die, but I'm not gonna give it an easy access. I love going on YouTube and watching reviews of both movies and video games alike, and people who are, very passionate about their reviews. And of course, sometimes they do run into products that will kind of just cause them to get literally angry or loathe what they're reviewing. Erod the Blockbuster Buster is the first person I ever knew who didn't like Hotel Transylvania. Now, his reasoning is understandable, but, well, I do have some counter arguments that I'm aware of, and I'll get into that on a later review. Not right now. Not today. It astounds me a little because, like, I've seen some of the stuff that they watch and play, but I never necessarily had the same problem. Yet, I can honestly say that Goosebumps, the Goosebumps movie, it's the first time I did not have a good time in a movie theater. Ever since I was little, every time I went to the movie, I always enjoyed what I watched. And sure, I did see some movies that I didn't really expect to see. Like, every time I went to a movie theater, I either enjoyed myself, or I just was like, yeah, I was okay. I don't regret spending my money. But here, I cannot emphasize on how much I didn't like the first act of this movie. And still, throughout the second and third act, there were still stupid pills around. But I will say that the performance that Jake and Jack Black gave, they were all good. Even, like, R.L. Stine's daughter did alright. And Duke, well, I'm not gonna say that he's a geek in real life, but I guess he did alright with this performance, and really he's not the worst character I have seen. Excuse me.
I've got something for you.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about, but the guy from 1955 has a letter for me.
No, it isn't possible.
What's not possible? He's fantastic. This is his best performance ever.
But that was you. You were in that movie.
The hell was that? How did that happen from a letter? Jeez. Actually, from that matter, okay, sure, Last Action Hero. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I remember that scene, and it would be kind of cool knowing Sylvester Stallone playing the Terminator. I mean, like, I'd like to see that performance. Why would we say that? But then, who played Rocky in Rocky? Did Arnold Schwarzenegger play Rocky? And for that matter, if there was going to be a movie about me, and if somebody was going to play me, would I be playing that guy if we were to interact? Huh. Something to think about. For a Goosebumps movie, it's worth a watch. And if you like it that much, then, I don't know, I guess go and buy it when it comes out on DVD and Blu-ray. But, I don't know, for me, I'm just gonna stick it in the idea of that, oh, I watched that thing, and yeah, it's good. I mean, hell, I even enjoyed the credits, you know, because they actually showed some of the artwork in animation form of some of the books. That was cool. Even though Sonali and I didn't even get to see the monsters that we were looking for, they probably were somewhere in the crowd. But although she was disappointed, for me, I'm glad I didn't see him. Ugh. Seriously, Goosebumps? No, I'm serious, I got Goosebumps! Zinthone reporting out, and analysis complete.
One more thing.
And get this! When the movie started playing, or right before it started showing the beginning credits, I realized that, shit, I'm gonna have to listen to the Goosebumps theme song from the TV show again. Although the movie kept on playing, and yeah, they never played it. They might play it during the credits. I don't know. I left after seeing on who played what part. But I'm not gonna find out, and no, I'm not gonna play it on this review. Zinthone reporting out, again, and analysis complete.